You have been involved with Francis Schaeffer in his L'Abri community. How has this shaped you with regards to your practice of therapy and the training you provide?
That's a great question. I don't think that there's any single person, apart from family of origin and my spouse, that has influenced the way that we view our Christian life, our psychotherapy practice, and the way that we've modeled our Brookhaven Institute. Uh, Francis Schaeffer was just a very real Christian. And I remember when I first went to L'Abri, my husband and I went there out of this period in which we questioned, is there real Christianity out there? Coming out of a fundamentalist background where it was doctrine but little love. My husband was training to be a pastor, and we just looked at each other and said, how can we minister to people when we don't even like the kind of thing that we're seeing out there? So we sold everything that we had, and we had at that point a 2.5-year-old son, and I had my daughter. I was pregnant with her, and we went to Switzerland and studied there. And there we found a community where people ate together, resided together, studied together, questioned, and it was relational. And there was no question that was really off limits. And so Francis Schaeffer established that it's not so much your dogma, it's relationship with Christ and with one another that needs to be demonstrated. And he profoundly impacted people across the world. You'll find people who have established this community and that community. Now, as far as our practice, knowing the person and being known, the relationship, is really at the center of what we do. But it's not separated from intellect. To be a loving, nice person is not the only thing. You must have knowledge, you must have training, and that's what Schaeffer brought together. He had scholarship, but he had humility and personhood. And so also in our institute, we've combined, we've integrated Christian faith and a rigorous program of training so that we don't have this dualism that on the one side is academics, on the other side is spirituality, because Christ is Lord over all. So.
I think I want to start by mentioning my wife Marie's book, When the Roll is Called, Trauma and the Evangelical Soul. What happened after the Civil War was that evangelicals left the academy, and really there wasn't a lot of thinking going on in evangelical Christianity in the first half of the 20th century. In fact, George Marsden, a evangelical historian, sort of makes a tongue-in-cheek joke that before Francis Schaeffer came to speak at Gordon Conwell College, the thinking that was going on in evangelicalism was limited to the Westminster Faculty Lounge. And so I think that, first of all, Francis Schaeffer challenged evangelicals to think again and to really have a reason for their faith and for their Christian living. Secondly, I think that in my experience, there was a collapse of Jesus calling and for us to love God with everything we have and to love our neighbor as ourselves. I think when Jesus said that the second commandment is like unto the first, it's like he didn't even take a breath, like they're a couplet and they go together. And I believe that so much that Francis Schaeffer corrected and was actually bringing that back into the church, into the evangelical dialogue of loving your neighbor as yourself. And he modeled that beautifully when we went to L'Abri in 1979. we're just so weary and disillusioned in certain ways. I'll speak for myself. I was certainly disillusioned as a Christian. And the hospitality, like the loving openness to come as you are, uh, let us know why you're here, let us know how we can help you. It was just a beautiful experience for about 3 months that we had at L'Abri. And we were grateful to be there in 1979 when Francis Schaeffer was still alive and was active in the community. And so that was very special to us.
Does it reflect in the way you do training with your candidates?
Yes, it does. We created a psychoanalytic training institute model that actually practices hospitality, love of each other, friendship with each other, living together, eating together, just informally getting to know each other, wanting to know each other, and seeking each other out. And it's, I think it's very special, very unique as a training model in psychoanalysis.